software, we have documentation if needed or requested, we can provide that to you as a request. And we can support you in any way. We translated our software into 9 languages. We interface with close to 20 devices. We have a rich template layout with full capability. We provide meaningful calculations and reporting with advanced analytics and trending. And we have adequate data identification. And if you see the picture that's listed here, you'll see that you have the instrument, you have a symbol in the middle, you have MODA, which is informatics, and you see like a part, it's hard to see, but you may see the data or the part of the software, and you'll see LIMS on the right-hand side. So we integrate on a fully paperless solution if you work with LIMS or MODA. You can bring your samples in, basically, you can have them set up, and you can run through the system, have it paperless, and run through the whole process, and have them exported out through LIMS. Everything, of course, needs to be validated with the input and the output, but working with MODA in our company, we basically provide you all the necessary information about its validation documentation to kind of make sure that you're working within data integrity requirements. So we're talking about the components of data integrity. I'll go through this rather quickly because we'll be harping on each one of these. So we have Audit Trail, which is the number one focus on data integrity. We have level of user access and permissions, interfacing structure, how you export. You have data structure, lifecycle, electronic signatures, edit changes to a document are clear and visible to the log file, and that's with the Audit Trail. And again, in the Audit Trail that we offer, the Audit Trail cannot be turned off. You can take the Audit Trail off of the report itself, so the log summary will not appear. You can click through this later, but you cannot turn it off within the system, which is also essential for data integrity requirements. We have records about summary was not completed. We have a very high-level training tool, and we have evidence of Audit Trail review as well. That's where we're coming later with the more advanced topics as well. So data storage and networking. Our data is so important as well. So our data, the way we store our data is not set up as a file-based system, it's set up into a database. So you have to be wary, essentially, of other softwares that are out there to make sure that they're not file-based. Because what could happen is, as I mentioned earlier, in your file-based, you could potentially lose metadata when you're storing the data. So you would still have the file, but you would lose all the associated metadata with it when you pull it up down the road, which is not good for data integrity. So you could lose all of the Audit Trail and just every part of it. That will show you an indication of if anything happened during your run. So you definitely want to be able to understand how your files are being stored and make sure that they're being filed correctly, and that you're not working with systems that have, work with different software packages as well. You want to make sure you run with one package or one software package that integrates your Audit Trail, trending, everything all in one. Because the more you have, the more inherently you will have lots of data potentially. You want to keep it all together under the same roof, where it's all been validated together. And that's the important part that you're looking for. So some of the advantages for sharing with central database over network, you have better 21 CFR and NFC clients. Your GMP data on a local computer is considered unread and unsecure, and that's why having a network is so important as well. And just, you do not want to lose your data over a standalone computer. You can set up your users, accessories, readers, products, with your set of points per system. Your results can be reviewed electronically, signed, and printed from any computer. You can collaborate with other laboratories over a global network. And if a computer fails, data is secured and all configuration changes are retained. You just replace the computer. And you have to remember, data storage as approximate data is GMP data. You do not want to store it on your laboratory computer as a standalone. And remember, backing up is quite important. So backing up and setting it up on a frequency so it's not forgotten about is also quite important as well. And hopefully you should have SOPs in place to cover all of that. So let's take a quick view on data storage and networking through our software directly. This is a quick overview of it. So if we scroll up, you can go to Tools, click on Database. You'll see there's quite a few options within our software for working with the database and doing archives as well. So you can also schedule database management as well, so you can actually have something in place so you don't have to manually go in and do it on a timely basis. It will be much easier for your IT system that you have to kind of work through the system. So again, the picture, if you quick view that, you have data storage and archiving. You can schedule your backups on a frequency type basis. You can overwrite save this space as well, if that's something that's allowed. And you have database maintenance, which allows for backups and data compression. And that's all shown on this maintenance template that you see here. So you also have user controls as well, just for prevention of shared logins as well, and you can have timeouts be assigned as well. Re-authentication is also required and must be ensured. You have LDAP and AD controls for user access. Users are assigned to configurable roles to restrict access, and administrator type access is restricted from analysts. And you can see here actually how it's kind of set up. We have on the left side, on the bottom template, we have primary roles for analyst, reviewer, and supervisor, and you have all the permissions to the right. And if you hit on one of them, some of the permissions will be grayed out, or others will be left where you choose from them. So it kind of assigns roles to the primary role that's set up. So let's take a look at user management in the software directly. So again, you go to Tools. Some of the features that we have as we zoom in. User maintenance, you can see that we have the status of the user ID, username, role, and primary work group. And we'll get into primary work group a little bit later. So as a new user, you can see, typically have a scan signature on file as well. You need Active Directory. permissions, as we've seen in the earlier slide. Again, you can go through each of these on your own and check out which is the best for your primary role, but we, as a company, have a strong understanding of what's associated with each of the permissions associated. So if you look at data controls, you will know that samples as started cannot be deleted, and that any changes to data suggest no reason to be added, and require electronic signature, which is part of the credit card rules from CFR 21.11. If you look at workgroups as well, workgroups are great because they support data segregation into workgroups. And basically, workgroups will be set up potentially as like your own laboratory, for example. So if you're working at a large pharmaceutical company and you have labs set up in different locations, or even within the same facility but in different spots, for example, you can set up your own workgroup, and it would be kind of an individual laboratory in its own right. So you can keep things information, to its own workgroup, or you can share it potentially as well. So it's up to you. So again, several different sites within a company can use the same server, or data can be kept separate, each site having its own workgroup. So this is keeping, again, for data integrity practice and ideas, segregation of duties. Not only is it true for the person or to the user role, but also for workgroups and laboratories as well. So trending, and this is a very, very strong feature of our software. Users can query based on any number of qualifiers, as you see that within the circle. So we have many choices to look at. And trending is, for data integrity purposes, not part of it, ideally, but when you're looking at trending, you're looking for things that are becoming potentially out of specification over time and seeing it trend out, you have control over the process. And that's the idea here. You have control. And when you do that, you bring in data integrity to a much stronger standpoint within your company. Again, you have one window here that shows query results, tables, and graphs. And you have the ability to mask outliers as well. So the trending module gives users the ability to view and analyze data on demand. And it's so strong for data integrity again. So, some of the things you can look at for trending, for example, is like user ID, qualifiers such as standard reaction time, fluorescent RFQ, standard percentage CDs, standard concentrations. You can look at your competitors, you can look at, the reagents, you can look at your assays. And it's quite a remarkable tool. So let me show you how it looks actually, which is quite nice. So some of the questions you can ask yourself is, does my wear look show increase in endotoxin over time? Does any specific drop show positive results more often than another? And if so, what's the frequency? As you can see, on the qualifiers, you see we dropped out and we have many choices, and you'll see it again here shortly. So that's choosing a workgroup. So here are the qualifiers you can choose from. And you can equal it, and you can pick out a certain product. We're going to pick polymegacillus. Okay, product results. Okay, positive product control. And you see how you have it grabbed out towards the bottom, which is quite nice. And each of those little icons, those little red dots, are actually an assay for the most part. So you can actually click onto one of those dots and actually pull up the test result very quickly to see what happened at a specification as well, if something occurred. You can work with the graphs. They're very easy to work with. You can look at your product name, your positive product control. You're clicking onto the assay itself. You can see the standard curve, your reaction times of the standards, your product results. Something's happened. You have a high percentage of PDC recovery, way over 200%. You have a log summary, which is your audit trail. You have accessories listed. You have calibration for your accessories that are required as well, which is something nice in data integrity. We'll add another qualifier in. We'll add the log number. We'll add a pipette in to see if something's happened. And change the pipette number to mix. And then change you turn your plotting with x-axis and y-axis. It's quite efficient, actually. So it really shows you what you can do with your training tools that you have, which is fantastic, isn't it? So we're going to look at maintaining product lists. The next step. So maintain product lists, create and maintain a reference list of regular accepted products to allow for fast and consistent data entry and retrieval. So as you can see here on the template, you can see your product list for what's offered. So you can bring your product in from this, and you can bring it into the software directly through the software's all-in-one portal. As you can see by this arrow behind here. Once you bring them in, they're ready to be brought in for testing. You can actually bring them for training as well, if you like. So again, the training tool is quite a valuable tool. With our software, we have customers that just absolutely love it, and they swear by it. That's the best thing that's ever happened for their endotoxin software. So it's just try to take a look at it at some point if you ever get the chance, because it can really provide valuable data where it gives you foresight into what's happening in the future with systems that make a lot of specification as well. Another thing I have to keep in mind too is you want to look at your accessories. So just like with the product, it's important to associate an accurate and consistent list of accessories used with each test to allow for effective training and investigation. Our software, when TQC allows names a global list of accessories used for each laboratory. Each user can create their own default list from this global list to save time within every template. It is possible to assign a calibration technician or a specific analyst with the responsibility of maintaining this list while locking out all other users. And this is a fantastic tool to have as well. So I love the accessories So when KQCL, I think it's fantastic, actually, because when I look across other platforms for independent testing software, I really don't see it used at quite this level. So when you enter expiration dates, for example, you cannot run an assay. The software will not allow you to run an assay. The reagents are out of expiration, and that is a huge feature to have. Another feature to have is that when you're using a pipettor, we can have certain equipment in place, which is actually set up in the software to set, where you have all your instruments in place. We don't actually have to create a tab or something for your pipettor on your own. We actually have their access system, and then you have to have, there's also a calibration do-by section you have to populate as well. And again, if your equipment is out of calibration, they won't let you run the assay. So there's data integrity modes in effect to prevent for failure to happen if things go wrong within your assay. So it's really quite a nice software to work with. So again, you're just looking at accessories. And then we'll go on to capturing current media and equipment. So again, paper-based methods require the use of sample sheets or logbooks to capture activities. And you see here what I was mentioning earlier about the accessories is that you have to have a calibration due and expiration due as well, or expiration date in there as well. And it does it normally for a year out. So consumables set up in our automation software must be associated with specific methods and require expiration dates. And again, this is all this data, and what are we talking about? Expiration dates, calibration dates, and expiries and things. This is all metadata as well. So again, when you bring your data, when it's archived or stored away, when you bring it back, you'll have all this information associated with it, and it does not get lost. So we have tools as well for the transcription error. So we support 2D barcode printing on our vials. As you can see here, there's a barcode that we use that goes directly on our vial of lysate. And this is fantastic as well, because when you're looking at gel testing, some of the disadvantages potentially are transcription errors that you may see. So, things that happen, and, it could be illegibly read when you're recording it or looking at it. So with this, we're actually taking, you're working with KQCL, you just use a barcode, or barcode scanner, and you scan the reagent, or the reagent, the vial, and you basically have everything populated into the software directly. So there will be no transcription error when bringing this in. So this is how it looks. You see how it looks into the software? So you're familiar with it, it's all coming in. And this is if you're using a kit. Expiration dates are associated. As you can see there. So let's take a view of it in the software. So you can open it up, the template. You can click on the assay. You also see things are expired. On the right, you'll see keep the live as well, or things have been modified. You'll have your different work groups as well. So into a template. So accessories. Look at me. To do it. And it gets to that point, it just will not allow you to run something that is expired or out of calibration. So our audit trail, this is quite important as well to talk about. Our audit trail is, you need to see what's happening in the software, any changes are being made, and have control over what's happening in the process. And through our log summary that you see here, you can see if any changes have been made. And, our software triggers when any changes in critical data have been tampered or changed in the process. And again, you cannot turn off the audit trail in the system. You can only remove it from the log summary if needed. If there's a change that's been made as well, you can see that it's been modified, as you can see with the asterisk as well. So this is something to clearly see in an assay, besides just looking at the log summary, which is the audit trail, to look for identifying things that could have been manipulated or changed. So again, the big push from the FDA is to review the audit trail. But what they really mean is that we must review the complete history of the data set and record. And that we must approve it as well and review it. And that's really the important thing as well. So you want to ensure no one is testing anything compliance. You want to ensure that only authorized personnel are running tests, and ensure only authorized samples are being tested. And this is all so critical, and this is so critical to the FDA as well. And so when the FDA potentially comes in, or an auditor comes in who's talking about data integrity, they want to make sure your audit trail is turned on and is active. And they'll ask you why or why not are you not reviewing your audit trail on a frequency basis. And you must also set up a criteria on what's important and how often you should review your audit trail as well. So you should not review by exception. Software will identify when critical data has been changed and provide the associated audit trail as readily available data. So let's take a look. Check your audit trail in action. We've got tools. We have record auto log and security auto log. Security is more based. there's actually a security auto log form you can print out as well, or report. Again, click on tools, for the record, on the log, and here you'll see quite a few options. And this is what's important when you look at data integrity. You'll see all the record types you can pull up to review your audit trail. So many different features you can pick from. So, in essence, what are we looking at? We're looking at an iceberg ahead, in essence. We're making sure all controls are built into your software to be prepared for an inspection. That's so important. And the question is, will the software protect you alone in an audit? That's a good question. And, I'm sure again, half of people tend to think they will, and the other half, they think it won't protect you in here. In essence, you really have to have something in place around your software. You have to make sure that your company's culture is in place, for example. You have to make sure that you have SOPs and documentation in place as well around all of it. And you want to make sure that you actually come in and you can kind of look at your software and look at your data and your audit trail and come in and review it and make sure that nothing's been manipulated, changed, or your testing is compliant. So you have to make sure that, you need to think everything's great on the horizon, but deep down below, for the iceberg analogy, you want to make sure that basically, that you know all the hidden potential failure modes that are out there. If you possibly would have an inspection or have someone come out on site, we should be able to pull up your data in an efficient, timely manner. If you did get asked questions about files that records that were maybe a year old or so, I mean that's all important things to understand and be able to obtain as well. Would you be able to get your data as well, and would it be potentially has it been validated when it's gone to an archive or to a database? And could it be potentially manipulated once it's in the process of getting picked up from LIMS or from another system? You want to make sure that you can't go into those folders where your data records are about to get picked up, and someone. So you want to go in there and just click on a record and try to manipulate data and save it again, and you just lost your full record or your report. So you want to make sure that you have a ton of protection modes in place to prevent when things go wrong and be prepared for as much risk as possible. So that leads us to the last part, and that's the higher level data integrity aspects of what we're looking at. So we're going to look at establishing a risk-based approach to your review process through audit trails. So the challenge, and that's reviewing audit trails, are all of our department systems producing vast amounts of information during these. They're producing tons of information, and we need to keep track. The system must be validated first. We need to define which data is critical to patient safety and regulatory compliance. We need to analyze the path of data in the system and the business process, specifically looking at the defined data. We need to identify areas of high risk for patient safety and compliance. And develop a risk-based approach to the criticality of data. And this is where data integrity is heading. If you look at this workshop and seminars that are happening out in the industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, all of it's focused on reviewing the audit trail at this point. And this is where we're focused in on as well. So we're really looking at a way to help our customers and our end users in the end on site with our sales teams, with our technical teams, and with our software teams as well. Is where we're looking at going in and making sure that they're using our software to the best possible ability. Otherwise, the software may not protect you in the end. So we want to come in and do possible gap analysis and risk assessments for you. To help you understand any type of failure modes that you may have. And to start that process, we have to look at it from the data flow. And this is one of the things we'll probably start with when we come on site or start talking to you is, how do you, what are the stages for, doing your test? You have sample preparation, data acquisition, data processing, data reporting, data review, and data retention. The key to look at all these little steps, or all the steps to the whole process is what can people do here to compromise integrity? And that is the basic question of data integrity. Again, we'll look at a consolidated data flow. I don't want to harp on this too much, but you'll have sample preparation all the way out to taking your samples and turning them into LIMS or LODA. So we have it stepped out. So we can go through the map with you, the process map, and work with you to find out exactly what steps you're running with, and see if there's any failure modes. And failure modes are things that can possibly go wrong if you have an inspection. So we want to eliminate any failure modes in your process, so you will be ready for an inspection when the time comes. As part of the process, this is just a slide to show you an idea of how it works. This is the first part of the process, the data acquisition stage. And so the actions that all take place in setting up your template to working with your data, what inputs are required, the data types that you're working with, and who's responsible for the process. And these are all things we'll be working with you on site with to gather the data to make sure it's running properly. Ultimately, what we want to do is come up with a failure modes effects analysis. And this is where we assign issues where things could possibly go wrong again. So here's an example of just an idea of something that can go wrong. Perhaps the sample that you're weighing is not being recorded properly. So you want to look at certain things, what control measures you have in place, the residual risk as well, and how you want to assign it with criticality in the risk category. You would then tie an action to take care of that failure mode potentially, and you would see if it was something that the acceptance of doing that action has a low risk, medium risk, or high risk. So in the end, this failure mode effect analysis will look at failure modes, but also come up with a way to assign criticality to your review process as well. And that's what we're looking at as well, to set up review processes for our customers so they can look at their audit trails as well and come up with a process in place, basically to reduce failure modes. So hopping on to help, we have our software. We can detail endotoxin detection and analysis software, which is, I think of it as more like the ship when you look at the iceberg. So it's basically our platform to help you with data integrity. We can help in the transition from self-test to kinetic testing, and that's something we can review as well. We can provide an on-site gap analysis for assessment based on data integrity in your overall process. And you can reach out to us through our website as well on that, or through our technical team. And again, we can provide strategies for leaning out your workflow. And this is based on Six Sigma practice. So when we're looking at your process, as I showed earlier, 6 steps, we can look for things to reduce all your steps as well. And that will minimize your risk as well for any potential failure modes. So we want to align you, our goal as Lonza and with the providers of our software is to align you with data integrity and make sure we can help you to the best of our ability. And here are the references from the presentation. Questions. Send your questions via the questions feature on your screen, or please contact our scientific support at the email address below. And please don't forget to subscribe to our e-news and webinar updates at the address below. And for everyone, I think with this, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I really did as well. It's something I really hold dear to my heart. And I think we've come to today's end of the presentation. So thank you for everyone's attention. Well, thank you, Robert, for this comprehensive presentation. I think it was quite good and quite covering every topic. And we are running a little bit late now, but we have a few minutes to answer these dumb questions. There's one question from Steve. So the question is, does VHDL detect individual changes in the computer date or time? That's a good question. I think the answer would be no. I don't think there's a mechanism for that. I think that would be a higher level area. That probably should fall under corporate governance, but I can always get back to you on that as well. Thank you. Okay, so thank you. And another question. Do I need to validate a barcode scanner which you have shown in your presentation? I would say I would look into it for the manufacturer, actually. I think there may be ways to do that. They may have like barcodes they can reference. So they can probably talk to the manufacturer, or we can definitely help them as well. If they just let us know which manufacturer they purchased it from, we can reach out and find out as well. So I think it's something that probably needs to be addressed and looked at for sure. Okay, thank you. And maybe one final question. What type of audit trails are there again? Okay, well, I believe there is if you look at audit trails, I believe there is a security audit trail, which captures activities of scale logins and things of that nature. And then we have also audit trails. We have the whole feature of audit trails that were listed in the presentation that can go through as well. I think we have tons of them. So I guess if the person to ask a question can email me or someone directly, we can get back to them and give them the full list that we have in our software and provide them with more information on that. Thank you again. So with that, I would like to thank you again, Robert. And thanks for all people subscribing and listening. And I hope you will join again for our next webinar. And have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rico, and thank you everyone for joining today. In the first part of our presentation, we are going to have a look at some basic questions about interference itself. Namely, why is there so much interference? Which substances and conditions interfere with the BET assay? And at which stages of the assay can which interference occur? Before we do this, let me just do a very brief recap so that we are all on the same page. When we talk about interference, we consider two different types. The first one is inhibition, where you underestimate the real endotoxin concentration. And the second one is enhancement, where you overestimate the real endotoxin concentration. To make sure that this doesn't happen in your assays, regulatory authorities require you to test for interference. And this test is also called inhibition enhancement testing or making an inhibition enhancement profile. Regardless of how you call them in your own lab, those all mean the same. That before you do routine testing, you have to find a treatment for your sample that ensures you find the endotoxin that might actually be in it, and of course you have to validate all of that. I'm pretty sure that all of you have seen interference in a sample at some point, regardless of which endotoxin detection method you use. And from experience, you also know that depending on how bad the interference is, it can be pretty time-consuming to do that inhibition enhancement testing and find a pre-treatment for the sample that allows you to overcome the interference. In your standards, you usually don't have any problems because those are simply endotoxic vibrations in water. So as long as your sample is also water, you are usually fine. However, your sample contains other substances as well, and chances are that these components can interfere with the assay one way or another. Unfortunately, the probability of a substance interfering with the LAL test is very high. Nearly all products interfere to some degree. How bad the interference is then depends on the substance itself, but also on other factors like, for example, the concentration. Remember, we are here in a biological system, and like always, when you talk about a biological system, the dose makes the poison, or in our case, it makes the interference. There was actually a study about the scale of interference done way back in the 1980s by Guilfoyle and Munson, and for this study, they tested nearly 600 different products. They found out that 78% of them caused interference to some degree. However, when you closely look at the data, the percentage is even higher because the remaining 22% of those samples actually included several water samples. And we already know water is not causing any interference, so that percentage is a little bit skewed in the direction of not interfering, but actually they were testing a lot of the same substances here with purified water, so the interfering percentage of actual different substances was even higher. All the substances that interfere in the study and that you can find to cause interference in your own assays can come from various sources. If you think of finished parenterals and what they might contain, you already have a pretty long list of components that can interfere with the assay, either by themselves or in combination with each other. The interference could also be caused by the API, but also by an excipient. Chances are that your drug product also contains preservatives or buffers like the commonly used phosphate buffer or detergents like polysulfate. For all of these components, you could probably list hundreds of individual substances, so the results of the study I mentioned before are not that surprising. In addition to individual substances, more general factors could also cause interference with the LAL assay. For example, one of those factors could be the all-over ion concentration or the pH value. The sample might also contain substances that can cause false positive reactions, like unspecific proteases or LAL-reactive material. Seeing how many substances cause interference, the next question would be, why is there so much interference? And this is due to the nature of the LAL assay. Remember, the assay is derived from a biological system, which is the blood of the horseshoe crab, and it uses the enzymes that are also used in the immune reaction of the animal. The reaction consists of an enzyme cascade, which you can see on the right-hand side of that slide here, and this cascade is activated by endotoxin binding to the first enzyme, the so-called factor C. Endotoxin binding to it activates factor C, and factor C then in turn activates the next enzyme in the second step of the cascade, and so on, until in the end you get a detectable signal, for example, gel slot, color, or turbidity formation. Because we have enzymes here, every step has its own optimal conditions, for example, with regards to the ion concentrations or which ions have to be present. However, the samples to which you add the lysate can affect these conditions. And considering that there are literally hundreds of substances that cause different kinds of interference at different points in the assay, there is simply no way to optimize the lysate for every single sample. So instead, you have to treat your sample to overcome the interference. When we have a closer look at the LAL reaction, we can identify three basic stages at which interference can occur. The first stage is the endotoxin binding to the first enzyme in the cascade. The second stage is the enzyme cascade itself. And the third stage is the detection of the output signal, meaning the transformation, color, or turbidity. In the following slides, I'm going to give you examples of interference at each of these stages. And we're starting with stage 1 here. Regardless of the method, all of the TT assays start with the binding of endotoxin to factor C to initiate the cascade. And in this activation stage, the enzyme must be able to freely interact with factor C. There are several factors that can disrupt this key process, either by restricting the availability of endotoxin or by interfering with the binding of endotoxin to factor C. For endotoxin to activate factor C, it has to be present as an aggregate in a very particular size range. If the aggregates don't have the normal size, or if the endotoxin becomes hidden in other molecules within the sample, the normal activation process will be hindered. When you look at the endotoxin structure, you can see that it consists of a hydrophobic part, the lipid A, and in the picture here on the slide is the little red dots with the little X on them. The other part is the hydrophilic part, which is the polysaccharide chain, and that one is actually slightly negatively charged. In our picture, that is represented by the green and yellow parts. When endotoxin is in water, it forms aggregates with the hydrophobic part pointing to the inside, while the hydrophilic part points to the water phase around it. Outside factors in your sample can enhance and stabilize that aggregation. For example, if you have maltol and calcium that form bridges between aggregates, this leads to formation of larger aggregates and generally makes them also more stable. Or you can also have samples where you have the higher iron concentrations that makes the aqueous phase more polar, so it's energetically favorable for the endotoxin to form aggregates and also to stay in those aggregates. Endotoxin binding to itself and forming larger aggregates is only one reason why it might not be available. Another one is endotoxin binding to other sample components. Certain types of products actually can attract that high endotoxin because they simply provide a more comfortable environment for that hydrophobic liquid part of the endotoxin. And examples of this type of product would be human serum albumin, monoclonal antibodies, or serum proteins. The effect again would be that you see inhibition because the bound protein cannot initiate the LAL cascade. Another problem you might encounter in certain types of samples is endotoxin masking, which leads to the phenomenon known as low endotoxin recovery. This is the part I'm going to skip now because my colleague Ingo is going to talk about LER in a later section of this webinar. So don't worry, we are going to come back to that one. Right now, let's instead move on to the next stage of the assay. Stage 2 of the assay is the sequential amplification by the development of the enzyme cascade. There are a number of interfering conditions that can slow or even completely stop the progress of the LAL reaction cascade, and that would therefore lead to inhibition. And on the other hand, there are also factors that advance the cascade, leading to an enhancement. Factors that interfere with enzyme activation or activity are, for example, an abnormal pH value, high salt concentrations, other active enzymes in the sample, and cation imbalance or LAL-related material that is present. But why do these factors cause interference? That's the question here. Well, in order to function properly, the enzymes require certain conditions like an optimum pH, temperature, and cofactors. And substances causing interference at stage 2 mess with that. Regarding the pH, for example, the LAL assay functions best in the 6 to 8 pH range. If your sample is too acidic or too basic, the enzymes don't work properly or even become denatured. And that denaturation is not just a problem of the pH, because it can also be caused by other conditions. For example, if you have organic solvents, alcohols, or detergents in your sample, they can also denature enzymes and would therefore cause a stage 2 interference here. The enzymes in the cascade can also be taken out of order by enzyme inhibitors. The enzymes we're talking about in LAL, they are all serine proteases, so any inhibitors for this enzyme class would also affect the LAL assay. Products where you could find these protease inhibitors are, for example, anything that is manufactured from human blood or plasma, and it may contain inhibitors like alpha-2-macroglobulin. To proceed optimally, the LAL reaction also needs certain cations, the most important being sodium, calcium, and magnesium. And the divalent cations magnesium and calcium are particularly important for the optimal performance of the assay. However, chelators in the samples can catch these ions and thereby make them unavailable for the enzymes, and this will inhibit the assay. On the other hand, too much calcium is also not an ideal condition for the LAL enzymes, because at very high concentrations, calcium is very inhibitory, so this must also be avoided. So it's a very delicate balance here between too much and too little calcium. Apart from normal salts, the samples might also contain metal salts or more specifically heavy metals. Examples for those would be aluminium, iron, or zinc. Sometimes the heavy metal is even part of the drug formulation, like cisplatin, which is a cytotoxic drug. The heavy metal salts can react with proteins, like for example the LAL enzymes, and can cause complex formation and lower solubility, which in turn causes inhibition again, because the enzymes can't work. So until now we've seen a lot of things that can cause inhibition at this stage of the assay, but enhancement is also a problem here. It's less frequently encountered, but there are two groups of substances that can commonly cause it. And one of them are glucans or LAL-reactive material in general. Glucans interact with the second pathway in the LAL cascade, the so-called factor G pathway. This alternative path is